Hello everyone, it's Tomás Costal and this is the second part of the video tutorial dedicated to FACE Project 2017. This time, how to use the subtitling editor directly on YouTube. This is where we had left it the last time. We had had a look at the trailers that we had selected for this project and specifically for the subtitling task. We had had a look at Medianeras and we had checked whether the subtitle had to fulfill certain conditions to be considered correct or optimal for the reader. In fact, we had detected that there was a space limitation, there was a time limitation, and also, of course, orthographic and accuracy related. That we will apply to the second experiment. This time we choose La Delgada Línea Amarilla, and if you haven't downloaded the audiovisual materials directly from Blackboard, you should go to the video description below La Delgada Línea Amarilla or any other and open video file and transcript file. In Google Drive we have the trailer. We download it clicking on this download button top right, and the same we could do with the transcript. In this case we are not going to use the transcript because we are going to produce the subtitle from scratch. How long it takes to download will depend on your internet connection. It shouldn't be too long because the MP4 file has been compressed as much as possible without losing quality. I have it in Downloads and now I move it to the desktop. This is the file that I will need to re-upload to my own YouTube channel so that I can edit the subtitles myself. Now, if you don't have a YouTube channel, you could sign in pressing this button and go to another account, more options, and create an account. You will be requested a few bits of information, and if you do not have an email address with Gmail extension, you could create one or use the one that you have, whether it is a Hotmail or an Outlook, etc. After that, you will be given access to an empty YouTube channel, just like the one I'm going to show you, mrsubtitler@gmail.com. I introduce the password, and there we go. A personal profile, even if it is anonymous and empty, and you have access to the Creator Studio and your YouTube settings. That won't be necessary. You go directly to the left column, My Channel, and it's completely empty, no image, no channel art, nothing. That's exactly the place where you have to be. You go to Upload, it's a button on the upper right corner, you click there, and after it loads, you will see that you have an option to make it public, private, or scheduled. Public is fine, no one will see it. Select the files to upload. If it's in your desktop, there you go, and you open it. It's already uploading. Again, it will depend on your internet connection speed. Here, you would write your name or nothing, leave it as it is. And if you want to add it to a playlist, you could do the same. In the advanced settings, as this is a video in Spanish, you could select the language and write Spanish or Spanish Mexico if you want to be more specific. Spanish will be fine. You go back to the basic info and wait for the processing to finish. If you indicate the language, the automatic subtitles that are generated by a voice generator that transcribes the text will be produced as well. Those aren't too interesting because we want accurate subtitles and subtitles that are logical. So they are clearly divided in lines and those lines are not excessively long. For that, it's better that we start from scratch, and after you get a little bit of the knack of subtitling through YouTube, you finish on your own. Publish when the processing is done and click on La Delgada Línea Amarilla. That will lead you directly to the video. Now, this is your channel, Mr. Subtitler, that's my case. Yours will have a different name, of course. And you have a few buttons down here. We are looking for CC, closed captions, and subtitles. Click on it. Now, it's the time to add new subtitles. Even if you have a square or a rectangle here indicating that automatic subtitles have been generated, don't pay any attention to it. You want your own. La Delgada Línea Amarilla is a trailer in Spanish, and you should have decided whether you want it to work with your target language or with your mother tongue. In this case, with an example, I'm going to give you the Spanish subtitle. Remember that a subtitle is not a transcript, so it's not necessary that all of the information that is spoken has a reflection on the subtitle track. Create new subtitles, or CC, closed captions, and now we are already editing. The video is loading and you have two sides to this. First part, introduction of text and addition of subtitles, and a bar to move all across the spectrum, sound spectrum, here it is, these mountains, and the video file itself. You play it and the cursor starts moving to the right. So far we have had no dialogue. It's your decision whether you want to indicate, using parentheses and capital letters, that some music is being played, or you could simply annotate that with a symbol. Now we have text on screen. It says Corazón Films y Springle Pictures presentan. That perhaps would need to be translated. Let's go to a dialogue and then you decide whether you want to include all of the information or only part of it.
Estamos completos. Toño es el encargado de la obra.
A section right here.
Estamos completos.
Part of dialogue. We simply locate it, edit a new file, starting in 11 seconds, and you regulate the length of the subtitle. You can also decide where it goes. That's our space, and we enter the subtitle. Bueno, ya estamos completos. And remember that 2 lines is the maximum number of lines that you can use. To produce the second line, use your keyboard, hold Shift and press Enter. Shift and Enter. Toño es el encargado de la obra. We have it, it's complete.
Bueno, ya estamos completos. Toño es el encargado de la obra.
Next phrase.
Él les va a decir qué, cómo, cuándo y dónde.
There it goes. Another subtitle. He's going to tell you what, how, and when.
Él les va a decir qué, cómo, cuándo y dónde.
Perfect. Where to divide this phrase? That's a good question. Él les va a decir que after a comma, so that could be a good place. Hold Shift and press Enter. We move backwards and we play.
Él les va a decir qué, cómo, cuándo y dónde.
We have a comma at the end of the first line. Remember, in the first line, punctuation is also allowed, and at the end of the second line because the phrase is complete, and the idea unit as well. We move on.
Bueno, vamos a pintar el camino que va de San Jacinto a San Carlos.
Another one, plus, and we follow the spectrum down there. Let's check.
Bueno, vamos a pintar el camino que va de San Jacinto a San Carlos.
That's precisely the spot. Shift and Enter. And we have the whole phrase. Move back. Set it at the beginning. Play.
Bueno, vamos a pintar el camino que va de San Jacinto a San Carlos.
Perfect. We move on.
Váyanse bajando la máquina y un bote de pintura.
That's another phrase. It's not excessively long. We can fit it in one subtitle. Váyanse bajando la máquina. Shift, Enter. Y un bote de pintura. Stop. Move backwards and check.
Váyanse bajando la máquina y un bote de pintura.
Good. Now we have text. It says de los productores Guillermo del Toro, Bertha Navarro, and Alejandro Springle. The names are obviously understandable, but de los productores perhaps would need to be subtitled. That's your decision, and if you subtitle text that appears on screen, use capital letters. All caps. What about noises? There are 2 types of subtitle. Traditional subtitle, which only reproduces dialogue, music and text on screen, and subtitles for the deaf and hard of hearing, which includes indications or tags for the deaf and hard of hearing. In this case, the noise is not explicit. You can imagine that there is some kind of sound going on, but you could also indicate it. This time it's not needed, but if you want to, parentheses and caps, all caps. You would use whirring or engine noise.
Fíjense cómo se pinta una línea.
That's another phrase. We add it. And we don't remember exactly what the beginning was, so we check. That's fine. A little bit smaller. And that's the phrase. It's not excessively long once again, so it fits in one subtitle and in one line. We go back and check. It starts and it ends when the character speaks. Perfect. We move on. And this will be the last one we do. That's the end of the phrase. And we extend it as far as we think it's going to go. That's more or less the spot. And if you don't remember the phrase, as it's happening to me now, once again you hear it. That's the phrase. Esto es lo que tenemos que hacer. Shift and enter. Durante 200, using a number. When it's more than 10 or 10, use a number. Kilómetros. Stop and play. That's nice. All the changes are automatically saved. When you're ready, you readjust it if necessary, and finally you publish it. Once it's published, you can check the result. Clicking on the subtitles closed captions, the only language that you have edited is Spanish, and you play. This doesn't allow for full screen, but if you click on the name, it will open in a new window, and full screen will be possible. Make sure that the subtitles are activated and play to see the fragment that you have completed.
Ya estamos completos. Toño es el encargado de la obra. Él les va a decir qué, cómo, cuándo y dónde. Bueno, vamos a pintar el camino que va de San Jacinto a San Carlos. Váyanse bajando la máquina y un bote de pintura.
That's the part that you could subtitle if you wanted. The same goes for the noise. This is as far as we have completed it. But in the Face YouTube channel, we have the full version, if you want to have a look. This is the part where we had left it. And we move on from there. You see that in this case I have chosen to replicate the text that appears on screen and put it down there. Why have I done that? Because the intention of this whole task is that you hand in a third final task with about time. If you're working with the English trailers, you would have to do a draft in English and then translate the content. When you translate the content, that's the end of the exercise.
Tienes que estar bien atento. Carros, trailers, lo que sea. Tenemos que cuidarnos las espaldas unos a otros.
¿Cuánto nos falta, don Toño?
Tenemos 15 días para acabar el trabajo. ¡Qué pinche calor!
As it's not clear whether he's screaming or not for someone who has hearing problems, we include a mood indicator at the beginning, using the capitalization and parentheses. Grita, ¡qué pinche calor! Because if we can only resort to what we are seeing, not what we are hearing, because we don't have access to that soundtrack for several reasons, we could also convey in writing.
Bueno, vamos a darle. Antes de que lleguen las aguas. Gabriel, la perra y Pablo para atrás.
Chino, ¿y por qué nosotros?
Tú por grandote, la perra por animal y Pablo por traer al animal. ¿A dónde vamos? No solo pintamos una raya amarilla, es una guía en la carretera. Una guía siempre hace falta.
As I said earlier, when there is music, but you can't identify it, and you simply want to reflect that there is some sound, you could use a symbol. The names of the actors are not necessary because they would be the same in any language.
Nunca había descansado a la sombra de los huevos de un toro.
And that's the end of the clip. Going back to our exercise, the one that we had begun, you published a Spanish version in your own channel. Remember, it's important to make sure that you're publishing the results in your own channel because you have control over the content that you upload. If you click on the Publish Subtitles and you want to hand in your work rather than give a link to your own channel, go to Actions and download in SRT format. That way, the supervisors and also the project coordinators and the collaborators will be able to check and assess your work. For that, write your name, in my case, Tomás Costal, and also the name of your institution. For example, MMU, if you are from Manchester Metropolitan University, or ITESM, if you are from Tecnológico de Monterrey. And this is the file, this one alone, that you would upload to the Blackboard platform. With that, you would finish the subtitling task. Remember, the subtitling task, this is only practice, this is just an activity for you to do during class hours, would be, if you're working with Spanish, Güeros, that one does not have a transcript and you do not have a subtitle model, or About Time if you're working with English. What we would like to see is subtitle translations. If you have a trailer in Spanish, hand in the subtitle in English, unless it's very difficult for you to translate, that would be an exception, or a subtitle in English if you're working with Spanish. Very good. We have completed the task that we had set ourselves to complete, and if you have any questions, you may contact me either via Skype or email. As always, a pleasure. Goodbye.